You're watching Business of Sports on Cricket Next with me, Suramya Kaushik. I'm your host, and today we'll be talking about a very important topic. But before that, let me ask you a question. Are you guys enjoying Indian Premier League 2023? Well, I'm enjoying this season of IPL. It's one of the most exciting and entertaining seasons ever. But it also seems that BCCI is also enjoying it. The 48,000 crore deal seems to come into fruition, but I feel that BCCI have some problems as well. Well, they are enjoying the success of IPL, but on the other side, they are surrounded by some problems that are related to Indian cricket team. What are the problems? We'll get to know once we get to know Network 18 Group Sports editor K. Shriniwas Rao. He is with us. Hello, Srini. Welcome back to Business of Sports.
Hi, Shramya. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Well, I believe that all the people who watch you, they know you. As I said that, let's first introduce Srini. But I think there's no need of any introduction. Till now, people really know that what you tell in this show. But today, I know that you have a news to tell all of us, and this news is very, very important. I really want to know what's the news about. Is it related to BCCI and Indian cricket team? What it's all about? Please tell us the news.
The time has come for the BCCI to come out with the bilateral rights tender. And
Okay.
as soon as IPL 2023 gets over, the
Hmm.
BCCI has decided to roll out the bilateral tender. And mind you, the process has already been delayed by a good 6 to 7 months, maybe more.
Hmm.
And Everybody was waiting with bated breath to understand when exactly the board would do it. Some
Yeah.
even went to the extent of saying that probably the BCCI would not do it for another 3 to 4 months, and
Yeah.
there was speculation all around. But yes,
Hmm.
CricketNext can kind of reveal that the tender will come out as soon as the IPL of this ongoing edition of the IPL is over.
So this is the breaking news. So yeah, Cricket Next is breaking it that BCCI is gonna come up with the tender just after the IPL. But Srini, are you worried about something here? Because as you mentioned that some people were saying that it might take 2 to 3 months, but then BCCI have decided to come out with the tender just after the IPL. Are there any worries on your mind?
Yes, yeah. Some quite, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Um, yes. Again, I mean, like worry is about, how much of it does it really affect you? Worry stems from that.
Hmm.
There are worries that at the end of the day, some might think that, okay, this is too small a deal for me to think about, and probably that might not be a worry. So again, it is, worry is a very relative term. What might worry Suramya might not worry Srinivas. What might worry Srinivas might not worry Suramya, right?
Right.
So these are relative terms. But in that, one thing that worries all of us is, especially when we are in a public space, not
Hmm.
personal life, but when we are in a public space, what the one worry that we always carry is that are we doing enough to justify ourselves in the eye of the public? Because
Hmm.
we are, so look at BCCI, for example.
Hmm.
It is catering, disposing of the functions of a public body, although it's
Yeah.
registered as a trust, but it is disposing of the functions of a public body. So by
Hmm.
virtue of having doing that, they are in the eye of public. So whatever the
Hmm.
BCCI does will want to be seen as being acceptable or being accepted by the
Hmm.
public. And in that lies
Yeah.
the dilemma of what I'm trying to point out. And therefore I say, yes, they will be worried.
Hmm.
The reason
Right.
being,
Hmm.
is there enough interest in the
Hmm.
bilateral tender?
Yeah.
And if there is, then to what extent?
Yeah.
The last time that the BCCA sold bilateral rights, a per match value, which I think we discussed in one of our shows earlier,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
was sold at approximate 60 crore per game.
Hmm. Hmm.
So now the question is the per match value going to once again derive 60 crore per game?
Hmm.
Before I get any further in this conversation, I'd like to point it right now that
Okay.
I have done the math. I have sat with the numbers.
Okay.
Okay. a back of the
Hmm.
envelope calculation I'm talking about, there is no way that at
Hmm.
60 crore, if somebody goes on to pay the same value for a bilateral game
Hmm.
in India, and I'm not talking about test
Hmm.
match, I'm not talking about ODI, I'm talking about the marqueest of marquee T20 internationals.
Hmm.
You cannot make the money. That money cannot be derived from the market, cannot be recovered from the market. This is what I'm not saying futuristically, this is what the existing balance sheet is telling me. This is
Okay.
what the existing numbers are telling me.
Okay.
I know it may sound very surprising to
Yeah.
a lot of people. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the Indian cricket team, and then those are the numbers. And not just K. Shriniwas Rao here. Go ahead and ask this question to any broadcaster in the looking at this, looking forward to this tender, and whether or not they are interested, they will tell you what the reality is.
Well,
So that's
this
what.
is something very hard to digest, Srini. And why I'm saying this, because I remember it's been a month. We first talked about the bilateral rights, and now we are talking about it. And now here you are saying, you talked about the numbers. But if I talk about England and Australia for that matter, they are earning pretty well from the bilateral rights. Then why not India? India is such a big country. Every time we talk about cricket, we say that cricket belongs to India. India is on the center stage of the world cricket. But then why can't we earn numbers? Why can't we earn money from these bilateral rights?
you know the IPL rights went at three times the value, right? From 18,000,
Yeah.
it went at 48,000 crore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
18,000 crore to 48,000 crore.
Hmm.
What is so special about it? Of course, it's a great T20 tournament. Everybody, it's a club based thing, city to city versus
Hmm.
city. There's a great
Hmm.
fan base. Point is, come month of April every year,
Hmm.
and a kid who has finished writing his final exam, a college going boy or a girl who's like kind of free for the summer,
Hmm.
Indian summer,
Hmm.
parents looking forward to some kind of a holiday with the kids, and
Hmm.
they all know that cricketing carnival will arrive in the month of April, and
Yeah.
April May is going to stay with us. Whatever we are, we can include cricket in our scheme of things. So for
Yes.
example, if I am, let's say, flying, I live in Mumbai, but I'm
Hmm.
planning to take my family to, let us say, a Madurai and
Hmm.
Tirupati, Tamil Nadu, or if I'm
Yeah.
planning to take my family to Chikmagalur in Karnataka, or if I'm planning to take my family to Agra in Uttar Pradesh, or outskirts of Delhi, or
Hmm.
Ahmedabad, Saurashtra, Gujarat, I
Yeah.
can include cricket in my scheme of things. Why? Because I
Hmm.
know because I know that when I reach uh, the month of April, I can plan this 6 months in advance, knowing
Yeah.
that in April there will be an opportunity to catch up cricket in any of these
Hmm.
cities, right? This is just
Yeah.
one of the many examples. Why I'm basically trying to tell you that is there is a fixed calendar. I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to the event. How
Hmm.
important is that? Is why why I'm telling you this is to answer your question about England and Australia.
Yeah.
Come what may, the cricket loving fans in England know that English summer will be reserved for
Hmm.
cricket and Wimbledon. Have you ever seen the month
Hmm.
of Wimbledon
True.
change? Have you ever seen the month of French Open change? Have you ever seen Australian
Hmm.
Open and US Open change their this thing? No. All right.
Never.
Likewise, the English
Yeah.
cricketing summer. We know that the
Hmm.
English cricketing summer starts in June and goes on till the end of
Hmm.
August, I think to September,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Likewise, we know that come what may, Australia will play the Boxing Day test at home. So
Hmm.
between the Boxing Day, Christmas, and New Year, start of the New Year, we know that it is Australia's home season. Do they
Hmm.
ever travel anywhere around the world during that time? No,
No.
right? South Africa, for the longest time, has been trying to build its own home season around Christmas. And
Yeah.
for that very reason, they have also been at loggerheads with Australia in the past.
Hmm. True.
Look at India. India managed to derive that home season for itself for IPL
Yeah.
for the month of March and April, May. But India could
Hmm.
never do that same. BCCI could never do the same for their bilateral. Did we ever say or think that let us start our home season from the month of Dashera,
Hmm.
okay, at home, and
Hmm.
then Dashera to Deepavali,
Hmm.
to Sankrant, whatever festivals,
Hmm.
Pongal,
Right.
Lodi,
Yeah.
kind of so many North Indian to
Huh.
South Indian festivals, so many
Yeah.
festivals, right?
Hmm.
That between October to January end is a peak of India's festivals, right?
Hmm.
So have
So there is
we
no
ever
fixed
thought?
schedule.
Sorry.
There's no fixed schedule. India had
Exactly.
never
So
come up with a
India
fixed
has
schedule.
never tried to. Although I can tell you, I mean, let's be fair to administrators. There
Hmm.
was an effort made in 2015 or 14, 15, by the then BCCI administration to try and see if if a good, strong, healthy home season could be worked out. Unfortunately, BCCI politics and all intervened, and things took a different
Hmm.
route. But
Hmm.
there was, for a brief while, there was a plan being put in place. But after that, it all just vanished into thin air. And I
Hmm.
think that is in many ways that is one of the answers for BCCI's bilateral strengths being overpowered by the weaknesses, where there is no
Hmm.
fixed month or a fixed couple of weeks or a season to look forward to when I can look at cricketing action at home.
Hmm. Yeah.
This is one of the
That's
many
true.
reasons.
Yeah, well, Shri, while you were answering this question of mine, what clicked me that the last time when we were talking about the bilateral rights, I asked you that what's the solution, and I remember we had a long chat around, bucketing the formats, and we had a discussion around how we can sell the tests, how we can sell the ODIs, and all of that. We also talked about the relevance of ODIs and what can be done on that front. But today, after a month, are you on the same page? Are you still saying that do sell these formats separately? And on the BCCI side, do you think that they will do this? And do you feel that they are still struggling to come up with a solution regarding this, whether to sell these formats separately or not? What is the clear picture?
Oh, they are struggling. They are struggling.
Okay.
But before I get to that, let me point out, uh, a sporting institution, a federation, okay, like
Hmm.
any administration anywhere on earth,
Okay.
the media that covers it gives you a picture of how a federation is thinking.
Okay.
Okay, so how the media is covering the capability of a certain federation reflects the overall image of the ecosystem, right?
Hmm.
In many ways. I mean, for that probably we'll have to do another show. But what I'm trying
Yeah.
to point out is that, look at, I saw a fortnight ago, I think maybe less than a fortnight, I saw a lead headline
Okay.
in the number one business paper of the country, the leading business paper of the country. I'm sorry, it's television, so I am not supposed to say names,
Okay.
right? They
Yeah.
can go and fight which is the number one publication. Um, so, and the number one publication of the business publication of the country
Okay.
carried a headline saying that the BCCI will sell digital and television rights separately.
Hmm.
Okay,
I read that
that is
as well.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I read that.
that is like saying that BCCI will have breakfast only in the morning and dinner only after evening. BCCI will not have dinner in the morning. BCCI will not have breakfast at night. I mean, that is
Okay.
as uh, obvious a thing that you could have said. Like,
Obvious. Yeah.
I remember I was starting out in the industry, and there was a test match happening in Ahmedabad, and I was sitting and giving a headline, and I eventually
Hmm.
gave a headline saying India looking for a victory, and my editor came and said, my boy, if they're not looking for a victory, why are they playing? Right, so it was as something as obvious as that,
Yeah.
BCCI looking to sell TV and digital separately. Of course they will sell. The narrative itself is the fact that digital is now probably a bigger market than television. Why will
Hmm.
they not sell the digital and TV separately?
Yeah.
My dear publication, ask BCCI if between selling digital and television separately, How are you selling it? Are you selling it via an e-auction, which you yourself have claimed is the right thing to do and the
Yeah.
transparent thing to do, or you are heading for a closed auction this time?
Mm.
Number
Now, Srini,
two,
tell me, will they be earning? Will they be earning more money in close bid? Is that the reason?
I'll come to that. I'll come to that. Number two,
Okay.
ask the
Okay.
BCCI, are you going to sell test T20s and ODIs together at one go, or are you going to sell T20 matches separately and make more money out of it? So ask some intelligent questions. Anyway, so
Mm.
now coming to your question,
Yeah.
will a closed bid earn BCCI more money? Suramya, there is no. This is like asking me what came first, chicken or the egg. We will never know. We will
Mm.
never know, because for a single property you will never be able to do an e-auction as well as a closed bid,
Mm.
right? So you will never be able
Yeah.
to tell what probably could have earned you more. however
Yeah.
however are you a private business company? I'm talking about BCCI. Is BCCI a private
Mm.
business company? No.
Mm.
BCCI is a trust, which I said at the start of this show,
Mm.
disposing the functions of a public body.
Mm.
So if you are a trust disposing the functions of a public body, I think more than earning money, the idea should be to remain transparent at all times, which
Mm.
I'm not the one saying it. BCCI is the one that said it
Mm.
ahead of the, and that's
Yeah.
why I had praised BCCI in 2021 going into 22, when BCCI was planning the media rights sale of the IPL. Okay, it was an
Mm.
elaborate planning and exercise that went in. BCCI hired the services of an outside company to advise them, and there was a
Mm.
massive major debate that happened internally, I can tell you, and they could not come to a conclusion whether they wanted to sell the media rights through a closed bid or through an e-auction.
Mm.
There are employees, senior executives in BCCI who said, no, 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 let us sell it through a closed tender, because obviously we might earn more money because it's a
Mm.
tried and tested practice. Whereas
Yeah.
there are some, other people in BCCI, and rightfully they argued that no, if it is not 50,000 and 48,000 crore, if it only 48,000 crore, not 50,000 crore, I'm okay with it. Even if it is
Mm.
45,000 crore, I'm okay with it. But at least the
Mm.
public, which is watching this game and following this game so closely, the public will be convinced that I did the right job, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is more important.
Right.
And
Mm.
so, are you doing a business where you're going to say that no, boss, by hook or crook, I want to earn top dollar? Or you are
Yeah.
saying that no, this is a sport which is what it is because it is loved by the public in this country. So let me also
Mm.
be transparent towards. I mean, especially we're talking about a
Transparency.
BCCI which is coming after a long Supreme Court driven investigation and all that. Transparency was the keyword for the longest time. So why not continue with it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
in that lies the dilemma that whether BCCI will want to do any auction. Now,
Yeah.
there are two ways for me to address this issue. One is I can tell you what the buzz is in the market.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
sources say kind of a buzz, which is that the
Yeah.
BCCI is seriously now contemplating going for a closed bid than an
Okay.
e-auction.
Okay.
Why is the BCCI doing so? Because for an e-auction to happen, there have to be more than two bidders, more than two healthy bidders participating in
Mm.
the process, right? Only then the
Yeah.
e-auction is likely to continue. So there are only those many players in the market, right? I mean, if you look at the broadcasters who will come to the table to bid, considering TV and digital are at, how many TV bidders are you looking at? I mean, maybe if Geo decides to change its game tomorrow and Viacom 18 and decides to come aggressively for TV once again, I don't know if
Mm.
we'll have to look at that. But for otherwise, Star and versus Z versus Sony, Z and Sony are now the same company. They've merged, so
Yeah.
Star versus Z and Sony, probably that is the only television option you are looking
Looking.
at
Yeah.
a time when stakes are not really high from a television standpoint, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And look at what Disney did. Disney
Mm.
bought the ICC rights for an overpriced value of $3 billion, and then
Hmm.
they realized the goof up of what they did in what they
Huh.
did.
Right.
and they knew that it was a loss making deal, and they gave away
Yeah.
television, because television, they knew they couldn't earn money, because digital is the way forward, and they gave
Yeah.
away television to Z and Sony. They didn't want to keep it. Z and Sony desperate out, because they don't have any cricket left with them, so they,
Mm.
kind of latched on to this. The point I'm
Yeah.
trying to make is that there are not enough players from a television standpoint. So BCCI is
Mm.
worried about that. Tomorrow, what
Yeah.
happens if not enough parties come to the table to participate in any
Mm.
auction? That is BCCI's worry.
Mm.
Second,
Mm.
same for digital. That is again a worry from a digital standpoint. Will enough players come to the
Mm.
table? Look what happened the last time during IPL auction. Amazon picked up the tender, built up the whole listing, and then last minute decided they don't want to come to the bidding table, right? So,
Yeah.
so
Right.
these are important aspects. Now, why is BCCI facing this problem in the first place? Is because its own marketing team has not bothered to go in the last whatever couple of years and try and understand what are these broadcasters thinking, right? What have you given them
Mm.
outside
Right.
of the rights
Yeah.
value, and today you don't have that relationship, and that is why you are unable to figure out what exactly is the market thinking. You have no choice
Yeah.
but to depend on outside consultants to give you an idea. I think that's where the
Mm.
problem lies. I mean, this is part of the doing of BCCI's own so-called executive team. Don't blame the office bearers for it, because again, they appoint the executive team to help them go in the right direction. So if they're not doing
Yeah.
their job, I'm sorry.
So this
So which
clearly
is the
means,
point.
yeah, so this clearly means that BCCI are dealing with a lot many problems, especially when it comes to bilateral cricket rights. And as you already mentioned, that when we are talking about various formats, there isn't any designated schedule, there isn't any fixed schedule for the bilateral cricket to be played in India. And there comes all these issues as well, that there aren't enough bidders. But Srini, I remember in past 1 month or so, we have talked a lot about this bilateral cricket. We have also talked about the sponsors. So I believe that BCCI's half problem is with bilateral cricket rights, and the other half of the problem is with the sponsors. Now, very recently, CricketNext broke the story about Adidas being the apparel sponsors, but we haven't heard about who's going to be the jersey sponsor. We're so used to see that Baiju's name in bold letter on the Indian cricket team's jersey, that now we won't be seeing it. But then, whose name will be seeing it on the jersey? Who's going to be the sponsor?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, the Adidas deal is done, but at
Hmm.
what value?
Hmm.
Unfortunately, people don't ask questions. Half the time, they don't ask questions because they don't even understand. You know,
Yeah.
uh, I Nike until 2019 was the official sponsor, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Somebody should launch an investigation as to why Nike did not renew. Was Nike not interested?
Hmm.
Who was the former president of BCCI, Mr. Saurav Ganguly? I,
Hmm.
I can through this show,
Okay.
I would want to put on a request. Please come, sit in front of me and answer some questions. I have
Hmm.
some very basic questions for you, sir. Did
Hmm.
Nike come to the table wanting to renew the deal or not? At what price?
Hmm.
Today, 3 years later, from Nike to MPL to
Hmm.
Killer, you like kind of jumped, I don't know from what heights. So you've gone from Nike to MPL to Killer, and finally you are like going back again where you belong, to
Hmm.
Adidas. But do you
Yeah.
know what is the difference between the Nike deal and the Adidas deal? Nike was willing to renew the deal with Team India at 40 lakh rupees per game. Adidas is doing the same deal at approximately around 20 lakh per game. That's
Okay.
the value, 50%. Although,
Hmm.
truth be told, I would, at even at 50% of the value, I would still have Adidas.
Yeah.
If I'm
Because
wrong, if I'm wrong in what I'm saying, I challenge somebody who was in charge in 2020 to sit across the table and give me the numbers.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Well, this
Adidas
is
coming on board,
something very
fine,
important to
but
address.
at what value,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
what value is also fine. I'll give it to Adidas for free. That's not the point. Point is, in
Mm.
2020 when Nike was ready to come to the table, why did you shy away? What
Yeah.
made you shy away, right?
Yeah.
What
And
made you
Srini,
go from
that,
Nike to Killer? Or what
yeah,
made you go from Nike to MPL, which is not the MPL wasn't even an apparel brand.
exactly. Yeah.
Why
I
couldn't you
was
go
coming
to
on
an
that.
Adidas or a Reebok in 2020 and do the same 20 odd deal back then? Now,
Hmm.
keep that aside, you were asking me about Byju's.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Byju's is going out. Byju's last game with Team India is over. That
Yeah.
Baiju,
I do.
this thing on the jersey is
Hmm.
over. BCCI needs to find a replacement for Baiju. Now, there, I've said it. BCCI
Yeah.
needs to find
And
a
just
replacement for Baiju. Easier said
and
than
just
done.
and only a month. Yeah. And
Yeah,
there's only
easier
a
said than
month
done.
left when
Yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah.
The moment IPL, today we
Hmm.
enter May, right? I mean, tomorrow, like
Yeah.
when May 1st, once we start the month of May, we have less than a month for the IPL to get over, right? The remaining leg
True.
of the IPL to get over. Once the IPL
Yeah.
gets over, once the
Hmm.
IPL gets over, immediately Indian team will leave for England
For the
to
WTC.
participate in the
Yeah.
WTC final, the World Test Championship
Yes.
final. So the jersey is
Yes.
getting ready. I can tell you, the Adidas design jersey is getting ready, and
Hmm.
uh, everything is on in work is in progress. But they don't have the jersey sponsor yet.
This jersey sponsor. And you were
The
just telling me
Byju's.
about the Adidas deal, right? And what was Byju's paying?
So Byju's were paying um, around 5 crore, 5.0 something crore
Okay.
for a bilateral, per bilateral,
Okay. Okay.
and they were paying 1.75 crore per ICC game,
Mm.
right? So on an
Okay.
average, let's say they were paying around 4.5 crore,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And now there are two ways to look at this. Are we saying that BCCI is not finding a sponsor at an average of 4.5 5 crore per game?
Per
Or
game.
are we saying that BCCI is not finding a sponsor at that average price for a sustained period of 4 years?
Yeah.
Get my
Yeah.
point?
Yeah.
You
I
remember
got
the show that we did, the Lala syndrome,
that. Yeah.
where BCCI is Lalaji,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Has BCCI tried to understand why exactly does the sponsor not want to come out for 4 years?
Hmm.
Because your sponsor now is no more a Tata Namak, or
Mm.
it's no more Tata Motors, or the traditional business company,
Yes.
ITC, Wills sponsor, all that you had, right? Those traditional business companies don't want publicity anymore, because trust me, if
Mm.
Virat Kohli is not wearing Tata Namak on the jersey, will you and me stop
Yeah.
eating Tata Namak?
No.
We will
Absolutely not.
continue, right? So
Yeah.
the jersey, these kind of spaces are now required by brands that want to be louder in the eye of the people, be more
Hmm.
public, right?
Hmm.
So that is why you have companies like Unacademy, Upstocks,
Yeah.
fintech companies,
Hmm.
with startups that want to
Startup.
come and grab this space, put in the
Yes.
money. Why?
Yeah.
Because it allows them to grab numbers, eyeballs, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But then
Absolutely.
these startups and these fintech companies and all, they also have a target to catch up, right? They're not here to spend money on
Hmm.
your jersey for 5 years. They just wanted
Hmm.
1 year
True.
for their business to catch attention.
Hmm.
So they want to
Hmm.
put that money only for a year. Maybe they think that, okay,
Yeah.
1 year, 2 million people watch me in the Team India jersey. Even if 1/10 of them, those people come to subscribe to my business, I've
Hmm.
arrived, right? That is what
Yeah.
I'm targeting. So these are not time bound businesses. So the BCCI has to have a marketing team where it needs to show them the kind of canvas that they want to show. So if a company is not willing to invest in you for 3.5, 4 years, BCCI's marketing team should have a canvas to show to them. Listen, if
Yeah,
you, instead of 1 year or instead of 2 years, you come to me and do business for 2 years or 4 years, look, this is the canvas I'm willing to give you. These are the additional
true.
benefits I'm looking to give you. I'll give you these many opportunities with the Indian team. You can do your shoot separately with the Indian team. You can hold your corporate sorry, you can hold your corporate conferences around the Indian team.
Corporate conferences, yeah.
You can do all this, but what does BCCI
But
do?
for that, but for that,
I
now, Srini, that's yeah, 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 yeah. Please continue. Yeah.
no No, I'll tell you, Byju's, when this was the
Yeah.
jersey sponsor of the Indian team, in
Mm.
365 days, Byju's would
Mm.
get less than 2 days with Team India for paying
Oh,
5 crore rupees per game.
oh.
So, on an average, if India was playing 50 matches per year, Byju's was paying them 225 crore, right?
Mm. Mm.
225 crore for what joy? I'm like, Byju's had. Do you know that Byju's have an anthem with Team India?
Mhm.
We don't know.
Okay.
Because they had to
No.
shoot their anthem in
Yeah, we
one
don't
hour.
know.
That is the only time that they got with the Indian team. So that's what I'm saying.
I mean, this
Respect
can't work out
your
ever.
sponsor. Respect your sponsor. Have a
Yeah.
marketing team in place which is trying to go out and identify business from a monthly, quarterly basis.
True.
BCCI doesn't even have a marketing team. So to start with.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was just saying this earlier. For that, BCCI really need to go out. We have discussed it so many times. They really need to look out the market. They really need to see what's going around. Why these companies are not ready to be the sponsors. But Srini, yeah,
RCB has got a 75 crore Qatar deal.
yeah,
Are you saying Indian team doesn't have the same value as RCB? And that too only for a 2-month tournament, and that too
yeah.
for a team that has never won the IPL.
Never won the IPL. Yeah. And their chances in playoffs are also very, very narrow. Most of the times, if you see in the IPL, there are times when they don't even qualify for the
What good
playoffs.
marketing can do?
But yeah, but keeping that aside, Srini, as you just mentioned about the jersey sponsor, I really want to know, is that the same case happening with the other partners of BCCI as well? Are they also on the rough side of the picture, or they're still doing okay with whatever's happening with the BCCI?
Look at IPL.
Hmm.
IPL is a sister not even, I won't even call it a sister concern. The IPL
Hmm.
is a domestic tournament of the BCCI, right? It's
Yeah.
registered as a domestic tournament,
Hmm.
and well, it's not like the BCCI has a very separate machinery that looks into IPL.
Hmm.
Apart from the governing council,
Hmm.
BCCI usually outsources all event related mechanism, and
Hmm.
even the marketing and getting of sponsors and all is outsourced. BCCI relies on agencies to do the job for them. Why
Okay.
is it that the Mumbai Indians and the Royal Challengers Bangalore and Chennai Super Kings, the Kolkata Knight Riders, now even Rajasthan Royals. Look at the progress Rajasthan Royals has made
Yeah.
on so many fronts. Gujarat Titans, a franchise which is so new. Look at the
Hmm.
kind of jersey sponsorship, ground sponsorship that they've managed to get. Why is it that
Hmm.
the BCCI, despite being the pallbearer and the home for Team India, not being able to do the same? Because the BCCI doesn't have a cutting edge marketing team. They have not invested in a good. These are private businesses where I'm talking about the franchisees where
Hmm.
the onus is on them to earn money. That's why they are going
Yeah.
ahead and doing and trying new things. Whereas
Yeah.
the BCCI, as I said the last time, the Lala syndrome, they don't want to do anything, and for
Yeah.
which they are paying, they're bearing the brunt of it. And someday, somebody is going to wake up, smell the coffee, and say, "Listen, why are we not actually being more
Yeah.
proactive about this?" And probably that is when things are going to start changing. I don't know. I mean, as of now, doesn't seem to bother them. It doesn't seem to be. If I was BCCI, I would be concerned, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I would be looking at it only from the point of money. I'd be looking at
Hmm.
the point of how are people perceiving me. So right now, marketing. So BCCI, what will the office bearer do? The office bearer will appoint a marketing team, a sales team, a CEO, chief operating officer,
Hmm.
whoever, right? They are supposed to guide the office bearer in terms of, sir, how do we go about in terms of,
Hmm.
that's how a company
Yeah.
functions, right? Right, I mean, that's how the hierarchy is, any private company for that matter.
Yeah.
But in this, because I explained, it is a trust that disposes the functions of a public body.
Hmm.
Answerability from a public perspective becomes equally important. So how are you going to
Absolutely.
justify the fact that you are not going to hold any auction after you have already done it twice? Last, by
Yes.
the way, just tell the viewers here, last
Hmm.
time the BCCI sold bilateral rights, it was the first ever time that the BCCI conducted sale of rights through any auction. This was in 2018. So are you going to say that you are ready to take a regressive step? Second, if you're not getting value, you are answerable to the office bearers why you are not able to bring the value. What have you done in order to derive the value? Have you made life any easier for the investor or the sponsor coming to you? These are answers BCCI has to, kind of look at.
Absolutely. I mean, this is really very concerning, on various fronts. We have just discussed about the bilateral rights. We'd also discussed about the sponsors. But I'm also concerned about the future of bilateral cricket. Srini, quick take. What do you think about the future of bilateral cricket? Given what's happening with the IPL, more than 2 crore people watch a game, watch an IPL game. That's the craze of people. And because this time it's home and away format, you see there aren't any tickets available for the matches because they're already booked. People are going crazy about IPL. And after IPL, there'll be, bilateral cricket, and there'll be such kind of series and all. Do you think that, this sort of cricket will be sustainable given where India is and when India really have a tournament like IPL?
This will be our, we can keep this as our next week's show, where we
Okay.
will talk about things that are still shortcoming and still that are
Mhm.
still need to be set right from an IPL standpoint. But places where IPL is doing a good job, places where I
Mm,
know BCCI is planning certain steps to improve IPL as a product the way we see it now.
mm,
And let us discuss it in our next, in fact, episode on the coming Monday, which is
yeah,
in the coming week,
yeah.
not this immediate one. And I think some of the points that you've raised, Ramya, actually do press for a big picture show on this. So I can tell you that BCCI is in the middle of taking some extremely important steps where the IPL is concerned,
Okay.
and they are looking at a global canvas here. From not, I'm sorry, I like to change my statement there. Not looking at a global canvas, they are studying what is happening globally in
Okay.
terms of the cricketing ecosystems everywhere in the world.
Mm,
Where
mm.
we discussed in one of our previous episodes,
Yeah.
karna hai kuch kaam, so should start a league kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
BCCI has studied silence over what is happening over around the world,
Yeah.
and and is in the middle of also consciously deciding what it needs to do.
Mm.
Which reminds
That's
me, I should
important.
underline, BCCI will not send its players abroad, just in case people are
Yes.
thinking. No. So other than that, BCCI is in the middle of planning some things, kind of, and we will discuss this in detail in the coming.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. We'll be taking up this topic in next week's Business of Sports. But one thing is sure here that BCCI won't be sending its players to the other leagues. God knows what will happen with the bilateral rights tender. We'll get to know that soon as well because, as Srini mentioned at the very beginning of this episode, that BCCI have decided to roll out that tender after IPL gets over. So thank you so much, Rini, for joining with me. It was fun chatting with you, and it was great knowing about so many things regarding the BCCI, Indian cricket, and IPL. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. So here I was in conversation with Network 18 Group Sports Editor K. Shriniwas Rao. We had discussed a lot many things before in our episodes of Business of Sports, but this one was very special because here we discussed about a news which is very, very important. The news that BCCI have planned to roll out the bilateral cricket right tender just after the IPL. We also discussed that what BCCI can do in terms of keeping bilateral cricket relevant in the time and age where IPL is running really, really well. For more such great discussions and interesting topics, you stay tuned with Cricket Next. You can also share your queries and your doubts and your questions with us in the comment section down below. But for all of that, you need to first subscribe to Cricket Next, because cricket matlab cricket next.